Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back into the video today. And today, the Indiana Pacers have signed Andrew Nembhard to a 3-year, $59 million extension. Great deal for the Pacers and Andrew Nembhard here. Andrew played 68 games in his second season of his career last year. And in 68 games, he played 47 starts, 25 minutes per game. He shot 49% from the floor. He shot 36% from three. And he averaged 9.2 points per game with 4 assists per game with 2.1 rebounds per game. He averaged 10 points per game in 75 games with 63 starts, 27 minutes per game, shooting 44% from the floor and 35% from three in his rookie season. Now, more importantly is the way he played in the postseason, because Andrew Nembhard turned into a different player in the postseason. He started every single game for the Pacers in their Eastern Conference Finals run in the postseason. 17 games that he played for the Pacers in the playoffs, and that's as many games they played in the playoffs. And he started in every game, 32 minutes per game. He shot 56% from the floor, 48.3% from three on 4 attempts per game, and he averaged 15 points per game, 6 assists per game, over 3 rebounds per game, almost 3.5 rebounds per game, and a half a steal per game. Now, let's go over what he did in the last 2 games of the Eastern Conference Finals without Tyrese Halliburton, their star player. Last 2 games of that conference finals where, Indiana got swept. Last 2 games, he averaged 28 points per game, 10 assists per game, and 5 rebounds per game in those last 2 games. So, yeah, he scored 56 points in the final 2 games, and he had like 20 assists in the last 2 games. So, he definitely showed, hey, I could turn into potential maybe star player or star-like player next to Tyrese Halliburton. This is a guy who is only in his second year and was able to perform the way he did in the last 2 games against the NBA champion Boston Celtics that have one of the best defenses in the NBA. And again, I know they're without Tyrese Halliburton, but let's not act like the Pacers don't have a solid team without Halliburton. Yes, I think Halliburton makes that team function, but at the same time, you can put Andrew Nembhard in that same position and he goes and gets 10 assists a night. He's not gonna function. He's not gonna run that team as good as Halliburton does, but the Pacers are still, I think, a good team without Halliburton. They're not as good, near as good as they are with him, but they're still good because they still have Pascal Siakam, they still have Miles Turner, a lot of other pieces around their team outside of Tyrese Halliburton, and Andrew Nembhard is one of those guys, and he absolutely killed it in those final 2 games against the Boston Celtics, who are not only the NBA champions, but one of the best defensive teams in the NBA last year and going into this year most likely as well. And not only it's not like he was just scoring the basketball and it was a one-man show, because that wasn't it. It's not like because they were shorthanded, he had way more scoring opportunities and was just taking all the shots. He also was getting 10 assists each game. He had 10 assists in the final game, and I think he had 9 or 10 assists in the first game without Halliburton. So Nembhard was great and showed a great future at the end of that series against the Boston Celtics. And the thing is a guy who played that good going into year 3 after year 2 is going to get better, in my opinion. Andrew Nembhard next year will get better for the Indiana Pacers. And now you got him locked up for the next 3 years, or signing him to a 3-year extension. They already had him. I mean, it's not like he was a free agent. So I believe he was going to be a free agent after this season, if I'm correct. And now that's not the case. He's signed to a 3-year, $59 million extension. So great for the Pacers, because a guy who showed so much promise at the end of the Eastern Conference Finals without their star player in year 2 is going to get better in year 3. That's a fact. And someone I know we've seen this with before, and I've heard Andrew Nembhard get a lot of comparisons to this certain player, and that's Jalen Brunson. Because, people say Jalen Brunson was being held back a little bit by Luka Doncic, which you could say is true. And, he showed potential, in Dallas with Luka, but not as much as potential as what we've seen Jalen Brunson do with the New York Knicks. And I've heard people say that Andrew Nembhard could do that if he went and played on a team that, where he is the main guy. But now he's signed to the next 3 years, and we'll see how it turns out for him and Tyrese Halliburton. But I could agree with that, because I think Andrew Nembhard, with what we saw from him in the final 2 games of the Eastern Conference Finals, I don't think he could be the best player on a team, but I think he could be one of the main scoring options on a team. Because right now he's not number 1, he's not number 2, because you got Tyrese Halliburton, you got Pascal Siakam. But I think it'll be interesting to see what happens with this Pacers team going into next season. I think they're a very solid team. And as a not just a very solid team, but they're a very young team, and we see young teams grow all the time and get better, and then you do have young talent. So let me know your thoughts on the Indiana Pacers giving Andrew Nembhard a 3-year, $59 million extension in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts on the video and the signing in the comment section, and please subscribe. Peace out.